السلام عليكم طلابنا الأعزاء، إن شاء الله تكونوا بخير. اليوم محاضرتنا Mandibular second premolar. بالنسبة للإربشن 11 to 12 years والroot completion 13 to 14 years. It has a single root which is larger and longer than that of lower first premolar. This tooth coming in two forms, the three cusp type, one buccal and two lingual. It's most often seen and it appears more angular from the occlusal aspect. The second is the two cusp type, one buccal and one lingual. It appears more rounded from the occlusal aspect. هنا الفيوز البوكال aspect lingual aspect. هنا نلاحظ 3 cusp type الميزيال aspect أو الفيو distal والاوكلوزال aspect. بالنسبة للبوكال aspect number 1, the buccal cusp is shorter than in lower first premolar. Buccal cusp shorter. Number 2, the contact areas are broader and appear to be higher because of the short buccal cusp. Contact areas broader and higher. Number 3, the mesiobuccal and distobuccal cusp slopes are less steep, more rounded. Cusp less steep, more rounded. Number 4, the crown is shorter overall and wider in the cervical third than the mandibular first premolar. Crown shorter and wider, cervical third. Number 5, the buccal ridge is not well developed. Number 6, the cervical line is less curved than it does on the mandibular first premolars. Cervical line less curved. Number 7, the root is broader mesiodistally than mandibular first premolar. Root broader mesiodistally. Number 8, the root apex is more blunt. Root apex more blunt. بالنسبة للlingual aspect, number 1, the lingual cusp or cusps are well developed and longer than that of the lower first premolar, so that less of the occlusal surface can be seen from this aspect. Longer than the lower first premolar, less of the occlusal surface can be seen. Number 2, in the 3 cusp type, there are 2 lingual cusps, the mesiolingual one, which are larger and longer one of the both, and the distolingual one, and there is a shorter groove extended occlusolingually between them called lingual groove. The 2 cusps are not as long as the buccal cusp and are less pointed. Then نشوف mesiolingual والdistolingual بينات الجروف. بالنسبة للتو cusp type, there is one lingual cusp which is smaller than the buccal cusp with no developmental groove, but there is developmental depression distolingually between the lingual cusp and the distal marginal ridge. Two cusp, buccal وlingual. ما ذكرنا هنا اكو developmental depression distolingually. Number 4, there is little convergence of the proximal size of the crown, so that less of the mesial and distal size of this tooth may be seen from this aspect than are seen from the lingual aspect of the mandibular first premolar. Number 5, the lingual portion of the root is smoothly convex from this for most of its length. Root smooth, convergence little. بالنسبة للميزيال aspect, lower mandibular second premolar differs from the mandibular first premolar from this aspect as follows. Number 1, the crown and root are wider buccolingually. The crown or root wider buccolingually. Number 2, the buccal cusp is shorter than lower mandibular first premolar. Buccal cusp shorter. Number 3, the lingual cusp is more developed. Lingual cusp more developed. Number 4, there is mesiolingual developmental groove on the crown portion. Number 5, mesiolingual developmental groove, the crown portion. Number 5, the root is longer. Number 6, the root apex is more blunt. Root is longer, more blunt. بالنسبة للديستال aspect, this aspect is similar to mesial aspect except that most of the occlusal surface can be seen from this aspect since the distal marginal ridge is at lower level than the mesial marginal ridge. Most of the occlusal aspect can be seen. The distolingual cusp is usually smaller and shorter than the mesiolingual cusp, 3 cusp type, so both lingual cusps are seen from this aspect. distolingual shorter than mesolingual, two cusps can be seen in this aspect. بالنسبة للأوكلوزال أسبكت يتقسم إلى 3 cusp type و 2 cusp type. ال 3 cusp type: number 1, the occlusal outline is square in shape. هاي 3 cusp type وهنا ال 2 cusp type. Three cusp square in shape. Number 2, the 3 cusps are well developed. The buccal cusp is larger than, followed by the mesolingual cusp and the distolingual cusp, which is the smallest. Each cusp has well-formed triangular ridges. The 3 triangular ridges converge toward the central fossa, which has a central pit. Number 3, there are 3 developmental grooves radiate from the central pit, form a Y shape on the occlusal surface and separate the triangular ridges, the mesial and distal and lingual developmental grooves. Number 4, the long mesial groove extends in the mesiobuncal direction and ends in the mesial triangular fossa, just distal to the mesial marginal ridge. Number 5, the short distal groove extends in the distobucal direction and ends in the distal triangular fossa, mesial to the distal marginal ridge. Number 6, the lingual grooves extend lingually between the lingual cusps to the lingual surface for a short distance. This groove is distal to the center of the crown. Number 7, supplemental grooves are often seen. Occasionally, a groove crosses the mesial or distal or both marginal ridges. The 2 cusp type: number 1, it is rounded in shape, lingual to the buccal cusp ridges. 2, the mesiolingual and the distolingual line angles are rounded. Number 3, there is no central pit. It has the central developmental groove, which is end in the center of the mesial and distal fossa. Number 4, the triangular ridges of the 2 cusps form a transverse ridge. Number 5, the mesial and distal fossa are roughly circular depressions having supplemental grooves radiating from the central groove, and it ends at the marginal ridge. Occasionally, a groove crosses the mesial or distal or both marginal ridges. None of the 2 cusp type, the 3 cusp صورة مختصرة. Thank you for listening.